Relations between France and Africa are to be put in a spotlight at a special summit co-hosted by the French and Kenya, taking place in Nairobi on the 11th and 12th of May. The theme is Africa Forward. As you'd expect, the emphasis is on how to advance all aspects of the relationship between France and Africa in the years to come. And here to give us a sense of what this means to the French government, we have a special guest. So let's welcome to the studio Éléonore Caroit, who's France's Deputy Minister for Francophonie, International Partnerships and French Citizens Abroad. Éléonore, thanks for being with us here, France 24. We appreciate you coming in. And my first question is, what are you hoping, I say you, but I mean France, what are you hoping to get from this summit?
It's a very important summit for us because it is the first time in a long time that we have, again, this type of format. It's going to be a one-day dedicated to civil society, businesses, youth, sports, culture, so everyone. And then the second day, it's going to be a very high-level leader summit with more than 20 heads of states and government, very high-level delegations to discuss the key topics that countries in Africa are facing these days: agriculture, health, crisis management as well, because you have many very difficult and tense zones in Africa, and with the geopolitical situation, addressing issues that are happening and how this is affecting African countries. And perhaps to go back to your question, why is this so important to France? Because we've transformed radically our relationship with African countries, virtually all of them, and we've turned it into very balanced, equal-based partnerships. And it is important to show this, but also to embrace it and to move forward with more cooperation.
You're choosing to do this in a country that is traditionally associated with the English language rather than the French language, Kenya. Why is that?
Well, it's actually what the African countries asked for. This was, a decision that was made collectively, and I think it's a very interesting one. It's the first time it is done in an English-speaking country in Africa, and it shows that France's relationship with African countries is not limited to former colonies or to those countries with whom we have a very strong history, and that it is actually a forward-looking relationship, that it's based on youth, that it's based on growth. Africa is the fastest growing continent. It is also the one that has the stronger demography. And so it is a source of opportunities for French people, and it is a source of opportunity only if based on equal partnerships.
10 years ago, Emmanuel Macron in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, spoke about France having now a different relationship with Africa. He was alluding to what had gone before, which is often viewed as a very shady, corruption-ridden time, which is given a title in France of France-Afrique, France's relationship with its former African colonies. Since that speech 10 years ago, which I think was well-meaning and good in what President Macron said, France hasn't had a good relationship with some of its former colonies. And in fact, if you look at what's happened in the Sahel, France has been expelled. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso.
All of that is true, but those are 3 countries out of 54. In the vast majority of African countries, the relationship has evolved, but it has evolved positively. And this is part of my job. So I travel a lot to Africa to foster partnerships, to ensure that we invest where we should and so forth. And everywhere I go, countries ask us to come, to invest, to have these partnership relationships, and to, whether it is in mobility, whether it is in water, whether it is in education, and everything. I mean, France has a know-how and is ready to share it, to create jobs in Africa, and this also creates jobs and opportunities for France.
So the fact that France, as you say, has been expelled by 3 countries, and when I say France, I mean part of that involves us, France 24, being banned from being broadcast in those countries as well. Perhaps that's commenting more about the state of democracy there rather than what France had done. But nonetheless, some critics might say that this is a hangover of how France was treating these countries. Is that changing? Is France's attitude towards African nations changing? It sounds from what you're saying, there's a real positive move now.
No, there is. And, when you establish a partnerial relationship, you have to look at your counterpart's interest, and this is exactly what we are doing, but you also have to look and assume that you're looking at your own interests. So we have to be where we're welcome, where we're needed, where we're asked for, And they're like the vast majority of countries are asking for that. And as you said, there's an issue with democracy, there's an issue with militaries in those specific 3 countries. And France is talking to African youth. France is talking to African businesses. France is, again, looking at the future. And President Macron gave a very important speech that you reminded us of, because he was born after colonization. He did not live through that period, and neither did I. And we have to look at our history right in the eye, and we have to, be able to work on restitutions, which we have. We have to be able to work on memorial topics, which we have. But you also have, at some point, to stop being apologetic and look forward for balanced new relationships.
So moving forward hand in hand. Some might say that China is already ahead of everybody on that issue. Its influence spreading across Africa in many, many ways in terms of transactional deals, in terms of investing in infrastructure, in terms of helping African countries to move forward. Can France compete with that?
It's true that China has been extremely present in the past decades in Africa, but also in Latin America and in Asia, it's obvious. And the way China operates, bringing almost all of its employees, also not transferring know-how, also giving other standards of quality more often than not, has proven to be unsatisfactory for some of the African countries that are asking us to bid, to respond to their biddings, and to be present. So it's not a matter of entering into some kind of competition, but it is a matter of saying, well, we do things differently. We do things on a balanced way, and this is what we intend to do with African countries. And we also have something that China doesn't have. We have a huge diaspora, and this is actually a source of opportunities for France, because this diaspora is investing in Africa through remittances, of course, but also through businesses, being extremely innovative. And one of the aspects I prefer about my job is that I get to put the spotlights on this very dynamic youth in France and in Africa, this diaspora. I'm also trinational. I come from different places, and I think it is something that France should be proud of, having people that come from different places and that enrich its own constituents. And public debate.
It sounds like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic summit. Éléonore Caroit, thank you very much for coming in and telling us all about it. Éléonore Caroit is France's Deputy Minister for Francophonie, International Partnerships and French Citizens Abroad. It's a big dossier.
That's a long one.
But she's very much up to the task, as we've seen and heard. Thank you very much indeed. And we'll bring you more on that summit as it happens in Kenya, which you will be present at, won't you?
I will, actually, for the whole summit. So.
Fantastic. My colleague François Picot will be there too. So hopefully there'll be lots of France 24 connections being made too, and highlights coming from there. And who knows, perhaps Éléonore will once again be on the channel.
I would love that.
Which would be fantastic.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you so much. Great to see you again. All the very best to you. Éléonore Caroit from the French government. There we go. Africa Forward is what it's called. It's happening in Nairobi on the 11th and 12th?
11th and 12th, exactly.
Thank you. There we go. Got it all sorted.